Well, good morning, Gary Samuelson and everyone else. And just so excited to be with you. Your reputation, I've heard of you for years. And then it was, I believe, just last October, uh, we wound up traveling together for many hours in Florida, going to a lab. And one of the things that really impressed me was just the scope of that facility, and a sharp guy that had over 40 years of designing and manufacturing product. And he just was in quite awe and said, hey, Gary Samuelson, he's the real deal, and this product is a big deal. And I remember us having dinner, and all of a sudden you got this this look, and then you just mentioned that 10 something years ago that you had this feeling that you had found and were part of something that was going to go really, really big, and you were feeling that same premonition. Well, I share that with you. I can just, the anticipation is so exciting, and it's just really fun to be privileged to recognize an idea whose time has certainly come. But wow, you're a really smart guy. You're the only person I know that's not only an atomic medical physicist, well, an atomic physicist, but also has an amazing medical background. Could you go into that just a little bit? Because I'm sure there's a few people that know that, but they I'll tell us the story one more time, but there's a lot of us that haven't heard that before. So how did you get to where you are? And you had these ideas when you were a kid, I guess. So kind of talk about that a little bit.
Well, you just can't I wasn't able to avoid being absolutely fascinated and captured by nature. I mean, just look at the stuff around us. How does a flower grow? Look at the beautiful intricacies of, life around us. I started to I was a really weird kid because, while others were playing out in the playground, I was looking at a little dandelion or something, wondering, how, or cutting a little piece of it and wondering how this banal structure works. I was really weird. But the thing is that fascination for life, these are real things. These are real, physical elements. I wanted to know how it worked. So, you figure, well, if you look at the atoms, maybe you can figure out how the atoms go together, because there's only, certain amounts of atoms that make these molecules. And I said, well, so I became involved in atomic physics, which basically studying how the atoms work and how they get together, and, the stable configurations of things. And into nanotechnology. But, as you start understanding how things work on the atomic level, it's just absolutely fascinating. So I got captured. That was it. And I went through atomic physics, and we had a collaborative program with the medical school at the University of Utah, where I was getting my PhD. And in that study, we were able to apply, our understanding of atomic physics to imaging lungs, to doing many things in the medical field, and I was involved with that, and we were making indicators, xenon 129 indicators that could go into the lungs and show the lung air spaces and things like that. I mean, it was just really fun, and so you can apply these things. You can apply this knowledge to almost anything. And that's where I started. And then I started to realize that, well, if we can engineer nanoparticles and things that go into the body to do specific, that's the future of medicine. That was really exciting. I could engineer something that would go in and attack a cancer cell, or attach to a virus, or do something that would be very beneficial. So that's where I got started, Dave.
Well, Isaac Asimov, many years ago, wrote a novel and later became a movie, Fantastic Voyage, where they shrunk this submarine down into just, tiny, small level, and injected it into this guy so they could operate. And you could see the inside of the body. It was fascinating. And we talk about nanobots, but when you see some of these animations of the intricacies of just inside a single cell, you know, like 100 years ago, they had this word called protoplasm, and they just thought, well, you know, it's just a bag of goop, and there's a bunch of them, and that's what we are, and didn't give much thought of it. And what an increasing moment by moment respect for just the amazing complexities of just a single cell. And we've seen animations of all of the things that move, molecular machines, and it really is a fascinating thing. So maybe to kind of go into that, you've had a fascinating, just a real interest, and have developed things out of just one particular element, silver. Could you maybe talk a little bit about that? Because we're kind of excited about something that's producing amazing results with people, and also talk about why your silver is different than other silvers that are out there.
Oh yeah, sure. In fact, I'd love to have a discussion with you. I have a presentation that has the pictures. It even has the video that you were mentioning of the inferior cells. Could I share that with you?
Oh, please. Yeah.
Okay. See, get this here. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Can you see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so just like you said, well, life on Earth is absolutely fascinating. You know, we've adapted the advanced forms of life on Earth have adapted multicellular systems that deal with our environment now, are perfectly adapted to our environment. And so, you know, we're part of nature, and nature is part of us, and there's no way to get around it. One of the things in nature that we found is that silver has been used since Roman times. That's that element that you were talking about, to preserve food. So we've used silver technologies, you know, born with a silver spoon in your mouth, they would suck on a silver spoon. They had the means to get rid of colds and sore throats and things like that, and as well as other things. So we know that silver kills bacteria, fungus, even viruses and parasites. We know that it does that. It's very, very good. Nothing grows on silver. And in fact, my ancestors used to use silver to put in a barrel to be able to disinfect milk and make milk last a couple of days longer than normal. So if we can, in nanotechnology though, we can break this silver element into tiny little slices. In fact, we have the technology now to break it into hundreds of thousands of slices. So now the same antimicrobial effect that it had, you know, as a coin, the same amount of silver now has 100,000 times more efficacy. You know, and you can't beat nanotechnology that way. You know, as you start breaking things down into tiny pieces, you'll find that the surface area that interacts with everything else increases greatly. Now, instead of just one tiny little particle, you have millions, billions, trillions of particles. In fact, the ones that I'm working with, there's trillion particles in every drop. So this is really exciting. And then they become different stuff. They have different colors depending on the sizes. We're looking at nanometer sizes, which is a billionth of a meter. So these are little silver spherical nanoparticles of different sizes. And here's gold nanoparticles. You can see that they're much different than the gold and silver that you're used to. Different colors, different chemistries, different everything. So, you know, the sizes also change the color. And so the thing is that, you know, you've heard of colloidal silvers and stuff like that. Well, colloids, I want to be, you know, pretty straight about you. Colloid is just a word that says or defines a solid particle in liquid, suspended in liquid. Could be anything. A silver colloid is just basically a silver particle that's suspended in liquid. It doesn't have anything to do with like the size or the shape or anything else. So colloidal silver as is, you know, that you can create, you know, in your house or it's created in nature is undefined. it usually is very clumpy and has, you know, here I'm going to show you a picture. It's just clumpy. And it has all sorts of sizes and shapes. Well, in order to really engineer a silver nanoparticle to do anything that's interesting, and I'll tell you that, you've got to get the particle down to the size, you know, of the thing you're dealing with. So if you're going to deal with a virus, you've got to get a particle that's the size of a virus. A particle like this is a typical colloidal silver, just doesn't work. And so you can take this colloid, you know, that's about 100 or 200 nanometers big, and it's clumpy, like you saw before, you know. And you can break it down into literally millions of these tiny little silver nanoparticles that are spherical, have the right shape and size. And then these guys are not only safer, because they don't get stuck in your tissues and they move through your tissues without a problem. They're not only safer, but they have a much bigger efficacy of effect for the same amount of silver. So, you know, here's a colloid. It can go on this bacteria, kill the bacteria. But a nanosilver, if you now have a million of these little guys attaching themselves to the bacteria, it doesn't have a chance. So, you know, it's much stronger than that. So that's what we were talking about, you know, with nanosilver. So what we do is we engineer a nanoparticle that's just the right shape and the right size, and that takes science. That takes, you know, atomic physics. You have to have fairly complex, you know, devices. And we can talk about, you know, how we create these nanoparticles and what the difference is in the different types of synthesis of nanoparticles, if you want. But that gives you an idea of what you know you're talking about there.
Oh, we got probably lots to talk about, but suffice it to say, yours is different than, I guess it takes an atomic physicist to create that, but I guess something to do with plasma ablation or fancy stuff. But I suppose if somebody says nano, which is one of the most popular words out there, that's just become, you know, part of the what people say all the time, because it sounds really cool. Have you analyzed some of the products that say they have nano silver? I guess you've got a lab, and you're probably curious. Have you? What do you see when something like that happens?
Yeah, normally it's not even close to being nano, and it's not close to being spherical, or such. I mean, a nanometer. You take a look at this. Here's one ruler that's a nanometer long. Here's a water molecule at it. So gives you an idea of the scale of these things. Here's a 1 atom of silver, you know, which is less than a nanometer. If you want to create a silver nanoparticle that's the right shape and size, then, you know, you'd have to get something a little under 10 nanometers. And that's what we do in the lab. Like you said, we use ablation methods. Don't use chemicals. Because chemicals, you know, can adhere to the outside of the nanoparticles, and they can be dangerous. So most of the synthesis methods that we have in nature and in our industrial processes create nanoparticles that are fairly toxic, because, you know, they have these capping agents and these surfactants and things that are stuck to them that they've had to use in order to be able to create them. And so when we create our nanoparticles, we create nanoparticles that have absolutely no surfactants, no contaminants. They're the right shape and size. By the way, here's a picture of these little nanoparticles adhering to an AIDS virus. So this is the size and shape that you need of nanoparticles in order to adhere to and disable the AIDS virus. This was done in Rice University studies around 2000 in the University of Texas.
Well, that's really cool. And I suppose all of them can have benefit, including having a silver spoon in your mouth. But size and shape is everything. And wow, You're the guy, and I love the idea of just kind of having some in my body all the time. You know, like you mentioned, one drop has 1 trillion nanospheres of your product, and I kind of think of it as this little Dutch boy that is walking along, and he just at the right place at the right time. He just happens to look over at the dike, and there's this small leak appearing, and he runs over and sticks his finger in the dike and saves the village. And I think that's the cool way to use this is, you know, when you first maybe feel itchy eyes or a scratchy throat, is get on this stuff, or maybe just a little bit every day as a preventative. May you never know what you're preventing, but it's really, really cool stuff.
Can I tell you something personal?
Please.
You know, and I mean, it's nice to be in a laboratory. We used to use high energy lasers in order to, you know, flash vaporize the metals and get them into the right shape and size. I've developed a very much more efficient and cheaper system. Once we did that, you know, we were able to mass produce these very uniform and nanoparticles. And then, of course, you know, you ask yourself the question as a medical physicist, well, you know, this is really fascinating and interesting. I'm sure that we could use it, you know, for infectious problems, you know, but what is it good for? You know, so I went to the literature and I started to look up, you know, human clinical studies for silver nanoparticles. And the first thing that you're impressed with is that in 50 years of studies or so, there's absolutely no toxicity whatsoever in the human clinical study. Nothing that you can see that is you know, could be even considered dangerous. There's some cosmetic things like if you take, you know, 100 to 400 times the amount that you should a day, it tends to you know, turn your skin a different color. But that's, you know, way, you know, these, in fact, I want to tell you, these studies that they do to determine the toxicity, they're crazy. They're introducing usually into the animals concentrations that are hundreds of times greater than the concentrations that you'd find, you know, biologically, and certainly thousands of times greater than what we'd find in our product. You know, so the thing is, you know, well, if you were to say instead of taking 4 glasses of water a day, you took 40, of course you're going to have, you know, toxicity just from water. Anything will be toxic, and that's what they're trying to push. Is that well we find the toxicity by giving these studies exorbitant amounts of particles, and often the particles are the wrong size and shape. They're like hundreds of nanometers, and so that what we find is that the safest nanoparticles out there are those that are under 20 nanometers, and those they're mobile. But anyway, we've done that, and usually brought the price down from something that was like $2,500 per ounce to a price that was possible to distribute worldwide. I held this in my hand and started reading the human clinical studies, and it was killing parasites. It killed the parasites that causes malaria. And whole villages were having extremely great results in Africa, in Ghana. And I was holding this in my hand, and I said, oh my goodness, we may have something that is absolutely important. Well, more than, it's hard to, you know, explain the feeling. My feeling right at that point is we need to get these technologies out to the people that need them, period. How do we do that? Here we have a non-toxic, you know, way of producing these specific types of nanoparticles, right shape and size, that can go in and have such tremendous benefits. And yet we can't get it to the people that are suffering. They need this. There's people that need this, you know, Dave. And so that this is what I had in my mind was, well, look at we have right in this little bottle. And the question is, well, how do we get it out to people? Just now, like you said, I'm having this epiphany. I realize that we have systems in place that we can use to get this out to the people who need it. And the benefits that can be manifested all across humanity are so great. It's my dream. I mean, I'm starting to realize, see the realization of my dream, and I felt like I've almost been led to this point, you know, along the way. So it's really, really cool. Here are the nanoparticles we have. They're beautiful, they're uniform, there's no contaminants in there. Bare silver nanoparticles that have about 7 nanometers of size. Here's what they look like in an electron microscope. These are colloidals, but they are very specific type of colloidals. They're a nanoparticle that has uniform size and shape, and that's the whole deal. That's what makes them effective. The uniform size and shape, they can adhere to biological organisms. Here they adhere to a protein that causes disease in our bodies, and it blocks the protein. And it's just like being able to block, let's say, a protein that has a key to enter our system. We have little receptors. You can block those proteins. Now you can start realizing what was going through my mind. I said, oh my goodness, we can engineer these things. And we have them in my hand. I have my hand. And they can be used to block the harmful proteins that are causing so much damage to us. And that's that's something else. We block the proteins so they can't enter the cells. When they can't enter the cells, it reduces autoimmune problems that we have. For the immune system tries to attack these proteins, and other such things, so that the immune system can be so much more efficient in taking care of the body. And it's all just in this one thing, this one nanoparticle. We've done studies, we've run studies, and we know what we have. And it is different and specific and unique because we're able to create such large quantities of these. Here we go. Such large quantities of these uniform spherical nanoparticles that go inside us and actually take care of a lot of the problems that the immune system used to have to take care of. And that can be greatly beneficial to us. When we actually allow the body to do what it is designed to do, it works. So I hope, I mean, I've been going on a little bit, Dave. You haven't interrupted me or.
Oh, I'm fascinated too. I'm caught up in your vision. We could really change the world with this. Just one thought. Okay, it kills bugs, but a lot of us are bugs. There's several pounds of us going around. By weight is bacteria. I've heard about half of a stool is bacteria, and it's essential to life. Why does this kill bad bugs, but it doesn't seem to bother good bugs? It's just that's a wonderful miracle of life, that it's good for good things and bad for bad things. That's just the bad stuff just doesn't like this very much, apparently.
Absolute miracle of life. So I can take bottles of this stuff without affecting my microbiome, the good bugs in flora inside my intestines, and you can too. It's very safe for that. And then the question is, well, how in the world does a little nanoparticle know the difference between a bad bug and a good bug? And the answer is it doesn't, but our body does. So what our body does is it creates like a mucus lining over the good bugs, and it doesn't let the nanoparticles in. And we have silver in our environment. We have harmful elements. We have our immune system and other things that can kill these bugs in our gut, that our body doesn't let them. So really, it's a miracle of our body adapting to our environment. It takes in the good bugs. It makes them a friend. It protects them. It keeps them there, and the good bugs are creating a lot of the nutrients and proteins and such that we need in our body. And like you had said, the genetic orders. We have 20,000 genes plus, and these guys have millions of genes, when we consider all of so they can produce, bacteria can produce things that we can't. And so we need them, and it's protected. So, I've just learned recently, in fact, science is just doing these studies, they're just coming out, that the body creates kind of like a little calcium shell around these bugs, so that that the silver can't get in. It doesn't cause, what they call reactive oxygen species, or other types of generation of free radicals and such that you normally would harm the bacteria. And so, it's just amazing. The body does it. As long as we're dealing with natural elements, this is what I've found. Our pharmaceutical industry actually kind of has it wrong, because they're taking natural elements and then trying to isolate just one molecule and patenting that one molecule and using that in medications. But the natural stuff that we're used to in our foods, in our environment, in the plants that grow around us, are actually those things which the body utilizes. And we're working against nature in a sense when we try to isolate the one thing over that. And then in order to be able to, you take in one isolated element, first of all, your liver hates it, tries to throw it out. And so you actually have to take enough so that your liver, it overpowers your liver. You can kind of kill your liver, in a lot of sense. And then you take other elements to help heal the liver. And after a while, you're taking all of these powders. when you could just take a piece of broccoli, basically, and it has a lot of the nutritional power that you need, and just to keep the broccoli. You don't need to worry about that, unless, of course. So anyway, that's kind of my feeling here.
Yeah, in fact, maybe we could go there a little ways. We've talked about this, and I know a lot of people that are into research, and typically somebody like you might be hired by a pharmaceutical company where they spend billions on developing things, but the common thing that they talk about is they discover something that's just wonderful, just great promise, but they can't mess with it because you can't patent it. Therefore, you can't make a drug and have these enormous markups, and just kind of the idea that health is a business, and it's a big business. It's a big fraction of the total gross product. I've read a magazine where it mentioned the single greatest cost of an automobile by General Motors is the healthcare that they provide their employees. That's more expensive than the computers or the steel or whatever. And then it just kind of made this funny observation that you could accurately call General Motors a healthcare provider that makes cars to pay for the anyway, just crazy stuff, but it's huge business. One of the things I think every time I walk into Costco is you look at what's the most valuable real estate. As soon as you walk in the door, there's pallets of vitamins and different things. People are looking. You pick up the Costco magazine, and I think about every third or fourth page, it's advertising a particular vitamin or a drug. And of course, then billions of dollars is spent on ask your doctor if you need this. And there's just this thing going back and forth. And I just was kind of thinking about this, and I sent this to you this morning. I just kind of reviewing this. This is something I've had for 15, 16 years. And maybe just kind of tell you a little bit about it. I was on a flight, and my seating companion had a magazine, and it said complementary and alternative medicine, a consumer campaign, CAM, complementary and alternative. And I couldn't help it, just kind of look over there, and then he folded it, and I says, hey, would you mind if I'm into that kind of stuff. Would you mind if could I read your magazine? He said, oh, you can have it. And on the front, the name of it was all about a magazine for the in hospital industry, and he found out he was an attorney. There was a trustee for a particular hospital, and hence the name trustee for the magazine. But maybe just okay. So from acute and real rehabilitative care, and particularly with chronic health conditions, providers are learning that complementary and alternative medicine offers many simpler, less invasive, and often less expensive ways for patients to repair and improve their health than allopathic, or i.e. traditional medicine. Wow. And it says more than 25% of hospitals surveyed are offering this. And then it says people are voting with their feet. They want this integrated into the medical world. Hospitals and all this, they're just going through it. Here's a couple other things. National statistics have shown that for every one out of 3 Americans who have used these treatments, 84% said they would do it again. Additional data says that okay, this is back a while, so it's data, it's probably even more, but it mentions 425 million visits to CAM providers compared to 388 million visits to traditional providers, spending billions, mostly out of pocket. But let me just, okay, I predict that if public and private hospitals take on what consumers want, and that's efficaciousness, what makes them feel better, hospitals will thrive. And then just at the last, in closing, it says the healthcare system has got to adopt these therapies or they will close their doors. Costs will eat them up. A large part of the costs are pharmaceuticals, not only in terms of actual cost, but also expensive in their interactions with other drugs and with the body over time, adding another level of complexity to the care. You treat one condition with a drug, and you get 3 other chronic problems. Well, not to worry, because we got drugs for that too. but says if we don't get at the root cause of illness, we will create more stress on the ability to provide care. We have to look at how to provide complementary and alternative medicine services, or patients will find their own alternatives. Isn't that prophetic? And I was just I can't remember all the details, but you could look this up. But this is just really damning to me. Goldman Sachs, you can type that up.
Hey, could I share some statistics with you?
Let me just finish this one thing. Okay, Goldman Sachs, you look it up, and they actually say, is that a good business model to create a drug that actually cures people? Because they'd rather have people on auto ship. It's effectively like, come to me, you're never going to get better. You're going to have to take these drugs the rest of your life. So I'll turn it back to you.
Oh no, that is the indicator of a sick system, by the way. It's look, can I show you, can I share some statistics with you? I mean, I'll share the screen, and I have some statistics that are fairly, I mean, I put these together because I'm concerned about the future of our healthcare system. Everyone that really is in the business or even is interested in healthcare, needs to be concerned. First of all, we have an exploding population. When I was born, it was about 3.2 billion. Now it's up around 8 billion. So we're in this period of an age where, we're exploding populations. The total in the United States, the total that we're paying, this is a very conservative estimate, is about $8,200 a year for healthcare per individual. But if we look at the GDP, I'm sorry, the globe, in the United States, we find that in the United States, we're spending 16% of our income on healthcare. And if we look at the government's spending 21% of their revenue on healthcare. And so, it's an absolutely terrible thing. And here's the as percentage of GDP. Here's the growth. In 2020 we had the pandemic, so it went up quite a bit here, but it's up around 19% of the GDP, and the projections are not even even worse. here's the government spending. We're up around, a quarter of our government spending on healthcare projected. We're going to get up to like 35%, over 35% in the next, 15 years. And so this is really a problem, because I don't see any downside here. It's the increasing cost and the projected increasing cost for healthcare are just going up and up and up. And just like you said, now about in 2020, it's if you divide it out, it's $12,531 per capita per year, in order to maintain your health. And for all that spending, by the way, if we look at other countries, here you go. US, this is back in 2018. The US, is heads and tails above everybody else in the whole world, all of the industrial nations in the whole world, as far as their healthcare spending. And now here is in 2019, about $11,000 per capita in healthcare. And what are we getting for it? Life expectancy at birth. All of the industrial nations actually have that's a pretty good indicator. The better indicator is healthy life expectancy. How long are you going to be healthy? So here is our life expectancy is low. And if we look at healthy life expectancy, Japan wins. All of these countries are before the United States. The United States is going down, actually. The healthy life expectancy is going down. It's the only one of these nations. And here's what it looks like, if you put it in a graph. Over 2010 to 2019, they're all increasing in their health expectancy. This is healthy life expectancy, and then down in the United States. So, and if we plot that against our GDP, we're one of the richest nations in the world. Maybe Norway or Switzerland or Ireland are producing more than we are, but we're also the center of a lot of the pharmaceutical industries, and we're spending the most in medical expense, or medical healthcare. I'm sorry, and yet we're the only nation that has declining. And so something is wrong with this system.
If drugs were the answer, we should be the healthiest people on the planet.
Oh yeah, we should be way up here. Yeah, and so. And then autism and diabetes and all of these major causes of death in the U.S. They can indeed, we can look at them, but here's what the science is saying. I mean, and here's the answer. I think we can prevent over 80% of coronary artery disease. Then this is science. I have studies. We can stop 80% of sudden cardiac deaths and reduce the risk of strokes and all of these things with our current healthcare system, if we consider alternative, because none of the traditionals can give us this type of stuff. We consider proven modalities, which basically means eating fruits and vegetables, half of your plate in vegetables and fruits, and the other half, in healthy and other types of healthy proteins and fats. These are proven modalities that just by changing our diet, we change our environment, and then our body starts to heal itself. And there's all sorts of stuff. I can go on, but the idea is, we used to have large centralized systems, and that actually got in the way of progress when it came to computer technologies, because we'd have to put all of our resources in these huge, so it wasn't growing, the technology wasn't growing so fast, so they just built more and more machines, to supply the world with computing technology. And then around 1970, we started realizing what you were saying, Dave. we got to get stuff that works. So these guys in the garage, and I kind of think of this like the alternative, the CAMs out there, the complementary alternative methods, start to realize, hey, here's stuff that works. And, you know, in just about 10 years, this is, by the way, the cost of memory, the cost of, you know, connectivity and transistors and stuff that used to be up around, you know, $1,000. Now in 2019 are down around, you know, 10 fractions of a penny per megabyte. And, you know, the screen qualities and so as soon as you open it up to competition and you realize that, you know, what you get out there really works, the floodgates start to open. And this is what I expect for the you know, future of healthcare. I expect that when we get stuff out there that really works, we can get out through all sorts of means, you know, but you know, this is the best one, you know, mouth to mouth, eye to eye, heart to heart sort of thing. I can tell you my experience sort of marketing. This sort of thing, you know, can spread now worldwide very quickly, just like the IT, you know, revolution did. And so I see kind of like a healthcare revolution, where no longer is healthcare based around sickness equals profits and wellness equals loss. We're based around a system where sickness equals loss and wellness equals profits. And when we start to do that, then these, you know, these medical institutions and these hospitals that actually offer real solutions that work are going to be the ones that win. What do you think of that?
Oh, so someone said, I can't remember, but it stuck in my mind. It said, sick people that don't die are good for business. And I just think, oh, that's a horrible way to think. But yeah, I love the model. It's all based on keeping us healthy, because right now, I heard someone say that if nothing's wrong with you, you're medically uninteresting. I want to be very uninteresting. This is powerful.
yeah, me too. You know, these systems actually are interesting. Can I tell you another story?
Oh, please.
Oh yeah. Well, this is a story of barefoot physicians, and now I'm going to have to get the story straight one of these days, but there was an emperor in China that wanted to introduce Western medicine into China, and there are a billion people, more than, you know, billions of people there. And these doctors that they invited over said, "There's no way that we can, you know, serve all of these people. So what we'll do is we'll train actually people how to treat basic medical needs, you know." And so they got a bunch of people, and I think it took them 8 months or so. They trained this group of people, and there were only a few hundred to in Western medicine and the best of our techniques to help people. Well, they went out and they set up a system where wellness wins, meaning if you keep your community well, they pay you. And all of a sudden, this became a profession, you know. And well, it turned out that they had so much business, these people, that they had to train in other people. It didn't take long to train them in. It only took a few months. They would train in other people, and then they would be able to train other people. And in just about 10 years, Western medicine was being practiced all over China. They called them the barefoot physicians because, you know, they were treating basic medical needs, you know, broken bones, illnesses, and such with Western medicine using techniques that we showed them all across China. And the only way that we are able to spread that is, you know, by finding a group of people. So that's very comforting to me, because I see the world as it is now, and I say, well, how long is it going to take for us to kind of shift toward the true laws of nature in our medical healthcare system? and use the, use the natural resources we have. And the answer, I think, is not too long. In my lifetime, I might start seeing medical costs go down, medical efficacy go up, and the healthcare system to actually provide our communities with healthy life expectancy that is now greatly increased from what we have now. So anyway, there we go.
That's exciting stuff. I was just kind of thinking, I remember reading about just an article talking about the American healthcare system, and just made an observation that if Princess Diana had that car accident, probably anywhere in America she'd be alive today, because we're really, really good at trauma. And there is some wonderful miracles that I think we deserve an A+ in medical, like if you have an appendicitis, or a car wreck, or break something, or replacing a joint. Just what a miraculous time to be able to do things like that. But the things that's plaguing most of us, you would call chronic or degenerative, and most of that is just treating with symptomatic relief with dangerous drugs that have side effects, and that maybe you get a D- on that part of things. So some stuff we do really good, and some stuff I think we could use some improvement on, and I think you specifically are leading the way. What you've got is just something amazing, and so we've set another half hour aside for you to explain all the new products that you're going to be making. No, I know you got some good stuff up your sleeve, and I can't wait to be part of you sharing that. But woo woo, it's going to be a fun journey. To have people with tremendous experience like you, and yet to be right at the beginning of just an exciting ride together. And wow, as we go out and find, like-minded people, idealistic, that want to change the world and love really good products, and when we share them, you can actually have this as a business, but more important, a business that provides a psychological paycheck, a spiritual income of giving joy and health to other people. This is a rich business. This company already has a really soul to it. So thanks for all you do. Any final words?
Well, you're part of this too, Dave. We're all really part of this. Wow. You said, well, what kind of products do we expect to come out with in the future? And it is exciting. But my expertise is in stabilization of molecules, in stabilizing compounds and putting them in nanoform so that they're absorbable and targeted. And then other people have better experience in formulations and what causes what, and have found things that actually work. So, there is so much synergy that I expect to see in this, where we're all working at the best, at what we know how to do best. You're doing the stuff that you know how to do best. I'm doing the stuff I know how to do best, but it's all for this common purpose of providing people with the solutions that they need. And this, like you said, this is what I feel is the motivating force behind this organization. And it is exciting. Oh, boy, is it exciting. So, more power to us.
All right. Well, let's go for it. And excited. Thank you for your time. And wow, onward. It's the future looks bright thanks to you. And hey, all of you guys, glad you're on the team. Love you. And we got our work cut out, but let's go after it. People need to know about this. Thanks so much.